Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Travis Wayne Goodsell. YouTube is presenting more why I left the LDS Church videos on my main feed. Click on one, you get a billion. And yeah, there is seemingly a billion of them. I'm ignoring the secret why I left the Mormon Church. I'm avoiding that one because I mean, if I wanted to do some sociological project and research, then yes, I would search out all of them, but not necessary. Being one of them myself, I have an understanding of what's going on. And as I listen to the ones that I do listen to, it's clear that the people who are making the videos don't. Have you ever heard of Stockholm Syndrome? Stockholm Syndrome, and I have to look it up as to which nation it is, because I want to say Sweden, but there was a movie that said Finland, and the reporter who was announcing it publicly to try to look cool was corrected on national television, and he gives a shameful look. Hilarious. Has never been included in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders? Huh. What the hell is wrong with them? Mainly due to a lack of a consistent body of academic research. Okay, so apparently this is a brand new field for me to walk into and solve it for everybody again. Sweden. Seriously? They don't even try to do their jobs. What is wrong with psychology? Oh no, we don't bother to look for a cause because we know there isn't one, and it's usually an external factor anyway, which means you solve the external factor, you no longer have the torment. Stockholm Syndrome is just like that. It's an external cause. You've been kidnapped. You're being held hostage. You free yourself. Hey, you're no longer under Stockholm Syndrome. But this is part of domestic violence. So I don't know why nobody's studying this. And so yes, this is also religious cult stuff. The church is a little more demonic than that. Literally demonic. Inverted pentagrams. Hello guys. They're not cult. They're a cult. And what the condition is an emotional bond that you have with your captor. Even those who are locked up in jail and prison likewise experience Stockholm Syndrome with the guards, because the guards are taking care of them, they're feeding them, they clothe them in the middle of the night when you're trying to get some sleep. Yes, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints had me indefinitely detained for 6 years of my life. I know what I'm talking about. I saw Brian David Mitchell, and what's his name, the cop killer. Escapes me right now. Not the point of the story. And so, yes, when you have the female cop doing her rounds, yeah, she's better looking than the guys, obviously. So, yes, I'm well aware of those tendencies towards Stockholm Syndrome, and I recognize that in myself, which helped me through it. But others who are not educated in Stockholm Syndrome, domestic violence and bullying, abusive behavior of those who are in positions of leadership and trust, whether it be parents, whether it be religion, government, school, or just other people you don't even know. And what happens is that we go into a state of shock. You know, being kidnapped, that's shocking, that's horrifying. You're being ripped away from your life. Your rights to life, liberty, and property are instantly gone. You are a victim of crime. But when it's somebody who you've got a relationship with, such as parents, spouse, church leaders, government leaders, psychologists, as she talks about talking with a Mormon therapist. Therapy does not cure people. They need the clientele. They need to keep their money. They've got a life to live. And so it's not in their best interest to cure people and fix their problems by reporting to the government that there's been a crime committed against them, or the police. Instead, they keep everything a secret. Oh, client-patient, or patient-client, whatever you call it. Doctor-patient. And they're not real doctors. They just have a PhD. So they get the title of doctor. But you'll often hear Mormons who leave the church, and even Mormons in the church, they'll try to mentally manipulate and bully Mormons who are already in the church not to leave. And so they talk about faith crisis. And so Mormons who leave, they're traumatized. They're experiencing trauma, but they call it faith crisis. It's not a faith crisis. You've been a victim of crime. In the church, they mentally brainwash to tell you that to leave the church is not in your best interests. They extort your afterlife against you. She, likewise, explains that. You know, my eternal salvation was at stake here in making my decision to leave the church. And other manipulations are saying that people who leave the church are apostate and all those other ad hominem evil bullying names. And they say that you then become an enemy of the church. You as a victim are now an enemy of the church. This is victimizing the victim tactics. This is what bullies do. And so it's frustrating and heart-wrenching. Now, watching Wonder Woman 1984 today, I broke down and cried as she's communicating through the guy to the world to get them Gal Gadot is the perfect Wonder Woman. And in the first one, she is there in the bunker, and they're getting, and then she just says, I can do something. Oh. But that's what needs to be done. I mean, yes, it's a courage that is required to leave the church, to leave a bullying, abusive, violent, hostage-taking relationship of any kind or sort. It's frustrating to hear the news reports of domestic violence due to poverty, when it's not the husband to blame or either of the spouses, and they end up taking it out on each other instead of the cause for their poverty, which is the government and the economy. We don't need this kind of economy. If it takes away life, liberty, and property, it's criminal. We need to get rid of it. We need to replace it with something better. If our government is taking away life, liberty, and property, we need to get rid of it. We need a new form of government. The Declaration of Independence tells us this. It is our duty to replace and establish a new system of government to ensure our rights to life, liberty, and property. And same with the religion. Too many people who have complaints against the church say that, I don't want to attack the church. She says herself, I'm not attacking the church in this video. Well, yeah, you're exposing the church as being hostage takers, of being bullies. This is one of the signs that she's been victimized, is that you don't want them to get in trouble for anything that they caused to you. You need to stand up and say, what you're doing to me is wrong. And so all those groups, the Ordained Women, Protect LDS Children, Gay LGBTQ organization, the NAACP organization, Jews, all of them constantly are systematically going to the church saying, hey, what you're doing needs to be sensitivity trained. No, call them out. Say, no, Elder Oaks or President Oaks now, you're a racist, you're a sexist, you're a bigot. Call them out. Don't let them do this to people. They represent God to Mormons. They don't have the right to be racist. They don't have the right to be sexist. They don't have the right to be bigots. Call them out. Warn others. Doing the videos, it helps because there's a lot of them. So the word is getting around. But it's victimized people consoling each other but never getting it resolved. Everybody needs to call out the church for this. What they did to us was wrong. It is criminal. It is abuse. It is hate. And yes, satanic. And as a result, YouTube employees and other Mormons attack us on our channel. She has 10 thumbs down. She has 293. I added my thumbs up, which is a rare thing that I do. I don't go around looking for videos to put thumbs up and such, but I did it on this one. But all of us who are critical of the church experience Mormon bullies. The rest of you may not be experiencing the Russian trolls who are purposely going around spreading misinformation and disinformation. They might be doing it on your comments, and they'll typically do it to one of the other commenters so that you don't get involved. But it has to stop. The church needs to stop. Any of you who are listening, spread the word. It must stop. The church needs to stop. The bullying must stop. The abuse must stop. The hostage taking must stop. Because they trick you. You go to church, you hear hymns of Jesus Christ, which are pleasing and soothing, lulling you in a carnal sense of security. And in this particular case, they call it spiritual security. It's carnal. It's your emotions, your natural emotions, that are being pacified, flattered, deceived. And what the truth is they are holding you hostage, so that you are confused as to whether the church is true or not. And yes, the church will not allow you to actually follow the true process in the Book of Mormon to find out if the church is true or not. Because if they did, we'd all know which church is bad from all the examples in the Book of Mormon. Great and Abominable Church, King Noah, the rich Zoramites, the Gadianton robbers, the Antichrists. Seeing a pattern? It's all in there, all laid out to identify this false church. And so yes, it is requiring a full re-educational mental wipe for people who have been victimized in this manner, because they live the rest of their lives letting the church get away with it and continuing to victimize others. And now their family is turned against them, their friends are turned against us. Our society, our local ward is turned against us as we continually get victimized. And so, yeah, it's great for those who are popular, who crack jokes and make fun, because that helps with the healing process. But it never gets us to a knowledge of what Joseph Smith actually set up. Because the current church, after Brigham Young, refused to follow it. Brigham Young did his own thing. But he likewise, as a hostage taker, deceived Mormons, saying, oh yeah, Joseph Smith was secretly practicing polygamy. Oh yeah, this is Joseph's temple text with the loyalty oaths and the penalties of death. And Adam as Heavenly Father. It was all Joseph. Not me. I'm just continuing what Joseph wanted. And people believe him. Oh, I guess if it was Joseph. That's where the confusion comes in. See, those who knew Joseph's words directly, like his family, immediate family, Emma, William, they didn't go with Brigham. They knew he wasn't right. And, yeah, not even Oliver Cowdery. I know the church wants to claim that he came back. Pay attention to the dates. His dates, and then compare them with what the church claims for dates. Oliver Cowdery did not go back to Brigham. Don't get fooled. So yeah, this is a horrible nightmare scenario, as we are being distracted now, as the government's about to shut down again, as we're not going to get financial relief, as it's just going to get worse, as we've been hacked by Russia. We're about to start a civil war, as Trump already signaled to the white supremacists to meet at D.C., and they responded and said, got your message, we'll be there, plus 50 billion. Not plus one. Or plus an AK-47, I guess we can call it. I mean, yeah, this is literally the end of the world. And the church is a part of it. I mean, the coronavirus also. They're not going to shut down the church. They're going to keep risking every one of us to get infected, so that then we become dependent on a vaccine for our very lives. They caused the spread and the escalation from the beginning. And even the news shows indicators that they too have been held hostage, that they've got Stockholm Syndrome. Because they're not warning about how serious this is. Calling out. Yes, they continually call out, but nobody's putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. And that's Trump's purposeful strategy. And now people are wanting Biden to do it, but do it for good. The Biden Blitz, they're calling it. But we're never going to get there. So, please recognize it. I know that by leaving the video shut down on me. I know that you think that you're woke by having left the church, but you still have the baggage. And you got to get rid of all that baggage until you're fully woke. And that means recognizing that the magic underwear needs to go. And if you're financially struggling, it's going to be tough to buy new underwear. Because it's like the less underwear material, the more expensive it is. But yeah, other things. You know, the concept of hymns. There are a number of hymns that are preaching false doctrine. There are a number of primary hymns preaching false doctrine. Faith is knowing the sun will rise? No, it's not. That's false doctrine. Science tells us otherwise. We don't know the sun will rise. We predict that the sun will rise. We have to test out the prediction. And it ends up being confirmed day after day after day, so that we can now see well into the future and know well into the past, and etc. But faith is not knowing. Faith is believing. That is what it is. Pistos, from the Greek, belief. So, I mean, if we understood a desire to pursue true religion, then we shouldn't fear going back before whatever our the origin is of our religion. You know, for Mormons, we claim Adam, but we only go to the Gospels. We're a restoration of Christ's church on the earth that he established. No, Christ didn't establish. Go back to the Gospels. He's restoring the original pre-captivity Jewish religion. The Kingdom of David. It's those little things that they throw in to misinform and disinform. That's all part of the brainwashing. And all of that needs to be reprogrammed in your brains. And it starts by going over making logical arguments, identifying fallacies in your life that you're making, such as, oh, if you leave the church, you're an enemy to God, and you're an enemy of the church, and your eternal salvation is in jeopardy. That's a fallacy argument. That needs to be removed from your thinking process, because that's how they hold on to you as hard as they can to keep you in. And so yes, there's a lot to talk about it, but simply put, stand up against it. Don't let them get away with it. Don't minimize what they did to you. Hold them accountable. We know they give in to pressure. We've seen it time and time again. And yes, they go after the leaders, but if you don't have a leader, who do they go after? They have no choice but to back off. And if it's not within the church, they back off. You know, when the Jews come to them and say, hey, what are you baptizing our Holocaust victims again for? When the NAACP comes after them and says, Oaks, why did you say that? Did we not have sensitivity training for you? And so yes, hold them accountable. Stand up. And that will set you free. So if you need help, watch the movie Labyrinth. Jennifer Connelly and David Bowie. And get to the ending scene where she breaks the hold of David Bowie. You have no power over me. He throws up the crystal ball. And Toby is returned to the family, as she's now the loving daughter. No longer the spoiled brat with the evil, wicked stepmother who's replacing her gone mother. I don't know what happened in that. I don't think they tell us. It's just I'm guessing it's a stepmother. She's treating her like a stepmother. Maybe it's the real mother. I don't know. But, I mean, it could be that Toby is not her full brother. Maybe that's why she's upset with him. But, kids, when watching that movie, don't do drugs. So, you have no power over me. I'll find that for the thumbnail. YouTube Mormon employee, stay away from me.